What's up, art nerds, and welcome to another YouTube video. And hey, what do you know? 2 videos in 2 weeks and I haven't even quit YouTube yet. Wait, did I say yet? Anyways, ladies, gentlemen, in this video, I'm going to be teaching you or showing you how I come up with cool character designs for my manga and comics and such. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right into it. When creating an original character, or as the art community calls it, an OC, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, who is this individual? What's their story? What's their ability? And what's their personality? Asking yourself these questions enables you to design and create a character that makes sense, that has weight. Makes sense? Some of you might be asking your screen right now. Well, I'll tell you. Asking yourself this question will make it so a character, for example, who is, an absolute psychopath, badass, ninja warrior, samurai, god slayer, berserk fanboy, isn't walking around with, a Hello Kitty backpack or something. It just doesn't match. But let's be honest, this could work in a comedy. But you get what I mean. You want to ask these questions so you know who this character is and what type of person they are, so you can kind of have a feel for the type of clothes and accessories they would and wouldn't wear. I promise you, if Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto for example, didn't subconsciously ask himself these questions when designing the characters in Naruto, the brooding emo kid Sasuke most likely would have been rocking a tie-dye shirt or something, and Kakashi, the cool and level-headed ninja, would have been wearing a thong. It just doesn't make sense. You see where I'm getting at? Like, even Naruto himself would feel less cheerful and goofy if Kishimoto chose to give him black hair as opposed to blonde. You get it? Now, I'm not saying you need to have all these questions answered to create an OC. A lot of artists just draw some cool guy and then call them their OC. Personally, I don't do this. I find having answers to these questions makes the character feel a little more human, a little more meaningful, as opposed to some empty shell cool drawing. But that's just me. Moving on, when you have these questions answered, next is the fun part, the actual designing. And for this part, it's pretty much trial and error, trying different things and seeing what works and seeing what makes you satisfied, because at this point, if you followed my previous instruction, you pretty much know your character well enough that you know what they would wear and their hairstyle they would have and etc. Now, for this part of the video, so I'm not just flapping my gums telling you how to create a character, let me actually show you. For the first time, I'm going to be designing a character for my manga, Whyt, and giving you my thought process as I go. This character has yet to make an appearance in my story and won't for a long time, but I figured when making this YouTube video, this is a good opportunity to design him. So before we start designing, let me follow the rules I laid out earlier and ask myself those questions. The first of which is, who is this individual? This character, for now, is called Ignition. He's one of the many superheroes in the world that I've built within my manga. What's his story? Can't say too much on that for the sake of spoilers, but let's just say he has a traumatic past. What is his ability? Again, can't say too much on that because of spoilers, but he's a pyrokinetic. And lastly, what is his personality? Well, simply put, he's a jokester, but he's also a psychopath. Think Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, but he's not so morally good like Deadpool is. Also, keep in mind, when you're creating your character, you probably want to have way more detailed answers to these questions than I do in this video. But like I said, I don't want to spoil the few fans of my manga who might watch this. But rest assured, I know this character as if he were my own child. Okay, so as I start this character design, you're now watching me lay down all the sketches for the character. And as I do that, I'm going to sum up in a clickbaity, top insert number here tips type of thing. I'm basically going to give you my top 5 tips for creating cool characters as I design this one. And as I start inking here, my first tip is, don't be afraid to take and show your influences, staying as far away from the realm of plagiarism as possible, of course. And I think I've said this before, but nothing is absolutely 100% original, so go crazy. This character is inspired by a character from my favorite cartoon as a kid, Heat Blast from Ben 10, and it's also inspired by the character Lou from the TV show Power Book 3 Raising Kanan. And you can see these influences in not only the clothing, but the burning floating skull. And that's tip number 1. So for tip number 2 is be practical. What I mean by be practical is you want to consider, for example, if you have a character that lives in the Sahara Desert, you can't have them wear a puffy jacket. Even if it might look cool, they just, they wouldn't actually wear that due to the very hot climate of the Sahara. The biggest one that I see with newer artists is they design a character with the clunkiest and chunkiest armor, and that I'm just sitting there thinking, how does this guy even walk in that thing? Let's not even talk about, what if they need to use the bathroom? And so yeah, that's tip number 2, be practical. For tip number 3 is avoid being boring at all costs. What I mean by this is, if you finished your character design, or you think you have, stop and take a look at it and sincerely ask yourself the question, does this character look interesting to you? Better yet, take a step back and think of the coolest, most visually interesting character you can think of, then compare yours to them. And ask yourself, does mine hold up? If the answer is no, then you may need to begin revising. A character design is so important in anything ranging from movies to video games to manga. Why? Because if done right, a visually appealing character will pull new people to your work and get more eyes on it. And that's tip 3. Tip 4 is dare to be different. Okay, I know in my previous tips I basically said take and show influences. I did not mean copy, of course. I always say no one ever gets anywhere by doing the same thing as someone else. So be unique and actively try to do something different than everyone else. And this goes not only for character designs, but also to your story as well. But that's another topic for another video. And last but not least, tip number 5 is there are no rules. Lol. Basically, if you want to ignore all my tips, go for it. After all, it might lead to something more unique. I mean, hey, a guy wearing a puffer jacket in the Sahara might just work if, the character gets cold in the heat and hot in the cold or some junk like that. And who knows, Naruto might have been a little more interesting if Kakashi did wear a thong.
What is that?
There you have it, my top 5 tips for creating a cool character design. Okay, with that, you now know how I design characters and you watched me design one from scratch. Now, I want you all to go out there and create to your heart's content. Again, as I said in my previous video, my words are not gospel. I'm sure there are many ways to create OCs. This is just how I do it, and I choose to share it. Thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you made it all the way to the end. It really means a lot to me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, turn on the notification bell, and drop a comment. I promise you, I respond to any and all comments. Also important, don't forget to subscribe for more videos from my goofy self. Deuces.